that have come together to put the client in the middle of the professional services delivery model. So if you think about the way that an entrepreneur or a small business or a medium-sized business owner needs to run their affairs, they need to interact with all kinds of professionals. So the one that everybody automatically thinks of is lawyers and accountants and maybe financial advisors. And so that traditional model is you have an accountant and you have a lawyer. Those two people are not in the same office. They don't talk very regularly. They often have contravening advice, and the client is left in a situation where they've got to kind of take often competing advice from a number of different professionals and try and figure out how to integrate that in a manner that helps move their business forward. HGA Group is fundamentally different in that, we've got, I would say, 8 different service delivery lines, 8 different divisions, if you will, each with an entrepreneurial mindset. So everybody here is an entrepreneur themselves, and so they tend to think like entrepreneurs. And what's very unique is we can interact in a way because we're collaborative. We're on the same floor in the same building, serving in most cases the same clients. So the client ends up in the middle instead of having, to try and aggregate all this competing information. They kind of get a little bit of harmonized content from us, and we can sing from the same song sheet. And there's lots of examples where that's made things easy for a client. You come in, a legal question comes up in the year-end meeting, and I can walk down the hall, and even if it's not their law firm right now, I've got a lawyer in-house that can come and address something real time. So if you think about the challenges that a small business or a medium-sized business owners run into, it's very seldom is it something that's in one silo. It's often complex business issues. It's I'm acquiring a business, or I need to, maybe stop operating in one location. There are a multitude of tax, accounting, financing, legal issues that come to play. And so we're uniquely poised, unlike really anybody in any market that I'm aware of, to come with a multidisciplinary solution to problems that makes us, I think, very unique in the marketplace.
Sounds like it. And we are talking to Quentin Gardiner. He is one of the founding partners of HGA. And really, to summarize, it sounds like you have everyone that entrepreneurs need to take action. Like there's always that stutter step. There's always, I need to talk to my accountant. I need to talk to my lawyer. Do you know anybody who specializes in this? And at that point, you must just introduce your team.
Yeah, I would say, where we've thrived the most is where we've got clients that, are using services from multiple divisions. It's not to say that, every one of our clients is in every one of our divisions. That's certainly not the case. But, fundamentally different experience, yes, to come in and go, I've got this issue, and it's got legal implications, and the typical, if you're having that conversation with an accounting firm that isn't wired the way that we're wired with the divisions that we have, I think that conversation goes with either, I don't know, you need to talk to your lawyer, and if you don't have a lawyer, I know a few good ones, let me send you some referrals. Different answer in my case. Hang on a second while I phone Jason Bannock from HGA Law and get him to walk down and sit at this table. And what's unique about that is we get to really have more line of sight on our clients and what makes them tick, and I can participate in those discussions, and we get, I think, feels like to me a much better and more cohesive answer for clients.
That's fantastic. Scott, unpack that a little bit. I think you might have a mic issue.
No. You think about this for a second, right? Think about this for a second. I'm a small business owner, and I pick up the phone because I have an issue, and I say to my accountant, "Hey, can you call my lawyer?" Well, that never happens because there is no connection, right? When I was looking up when I'm looking at HGA Group and I'm seeing their online presence, which is nice, and there's a lot of content. What you're doing is you're creating a team environment for the small business owner, aren't you, Quentin? You're actually getting all the business resources they need to help them grow and run their business under one roof and working collaboratively behind the scenes in their best interest. To your point, Quentin, I don't think that's ever been done before. You're doing something, HGA Group is doing something that's never been done before. How does that feel to lead that group?
Well, the first answer is I think it feels super exciting. I mean, if you think about the number of different perspectives you get when you have an internal marketing team, when you've got people that have had a banking background and are in the raising capital business, when you've got lawyers on the corporate commercial side, it's fantastic. I mean, there's nothing boring about my role. I get to talk to people from completely different angles. The conversations that I have from a leadership perspective with each of those divisions have such a different flavor. It never gets boring.
That is so cool. Is it
Yeah,
is it a challenge for the customer, the client, to understand the level and the deliverables that are at their fingertips? Is that hard for the client to understand sometimes? It's certainly at first.
Yeah, I think the messaging that if I think back to the origins of the group where we started to think, we'd like to have a bigger role in helping our clients be successful. So what are their impediments to success and how can we resolve them? And that was the mindset at the time. The messaging around it, I think probably early in the days where we said, hey, guess what? We also do social media and marketing because, our clients are telling us they need that and we're entrepreneurial and we need that. And so, it's kind of just organically grown piece by piece. So I think our clients that have been with us the longest have a pretty good understanding that we are the first point of contact if there's an issue. So if they have a problem in their world, and there's a pretty good chance that somebody internal here can solve it. And, and secondarily, I guess, I just want to be the first point of contact. Like accountants, generally speaking, are most people's trusted advisor. It's just the way that, you're interacting on a regular basis. You've got regular recurring annual filings that keep you in constant contact. And so those relationships tend to be held there. And it was always frustrating to me early on that, there's a kind of a limit to the number of things that I can solve for somebody. If we've got professional boundaries and things that make it more difficult to give really useful advice that we can sort of just blur over by going, well, you now need legal advice. Let me get you legal counsel. And hang on a second, drink your coffee, and I'll be right back with legal advice. So to answer your question, which I believe is it difficult for clients to understand? I mean, I think we're doing a relatively good job of getting in front of our clients and letting them know that we can help them, and and frankly that we're here to help. And really, I hope the core of that messaging is that's the reason we exist. I'm not here to sell services to anybody. I'm here to solve people's issues. What are your issues? Tell me what the things that are keeping you up at night. How can we help resolve them? And that's been the focus really of HGA when there was no other divisions, when it was just an accounting firm. We had that client focus, like how do we help you be successful? And I think it's I think resonated through the group. And as we've added other entrepreneurs to that vision, I think it's a powerful message. What does the client need to be successful? How do we resolve their issues?
I want to unpack that. So what I'm getting here is that first off, you've been listening to people. Your clients have been talking to you for a long time about their issues. And I always think that the best research and development there is to listen to your clients. And you were hearing what they were saying as you were helping them measure. And I don't believe that anything can be managed unless it can be measured. So here you are taking a look at how their businesses are growing, measuring that along with them, seeing what they've overcome and what's ahead of them. And you're scrambling to be able to build that next step with them. And I think that's a very great way to build it.
Sure. If I go back to the very inception of HGA, so Shawn, Tully, John Howard, and myself got together in 2009, and the spirit then was, I think that public accounting can be done better. I think it's what passes as good client service isn't as good as it could be. I think we can do a better job of putting the client's needs central. rather than trying to fit them into a rigid process that we've built, because that's how we do things. And if you don't like it, we can't help you. We've tried to be client-centered from day one. It's really always been about how do we help our clients be more successful, because if they're more successful, they'll drag us along with them, and they'll be loyal, and they'll send us other clients, and they'll grow their businesses. And and so that's really, that client-centric focus has been there from day one. The second piece of when we founded the firm was, it's picking my words carefully. Working in accounting firms has not always been conducive to having a terrific life. I think so. If you take those two things and you go, it's not great to be a client of a traditional accounting firm, and it's not great to work in a traditional accounting firm. The firm was founded on, I think we can do those two things better by just having a fundamentally different philosophy here. And it worked on the accounting side. We grew fairly rapidly. We had not a client or a desk or a telephone in August of 2009, and somewhere around 1,500 corporate clients in 2022 here as we find ourselves. So
that's tremendous growth. Congratulations on that to all of you guys over there at HGA. What are some of the things that you guys do that, say, a traditional accounting firm or traditional law firm, traditional IT firm, traditional, digital market, all these services and insurance firm that you guys offer? What are some of the things that you do in your ecosystem that other companies aren't doing?
Well, the most obvious answer that is collaboration. So I think, the fact that we can take a multidisciplinary approach to looking at a client's needs. We've got, you bring on a new accounting client that's maybe met you because they had a tax concern, or they needed some tax planning or had some discomfort there. And you have a conversation with them about their business and say, where are your tough spots? What's keeping you up at night? And, you get answers. Like, one of them might be, I know we need to do the web presence thing, and I know I should have a website, and I know I should be doing social media and marketing, and I'm not doing any of that. Well, I'm not just in a position to go, if you think like a traditional accounting firm, first, they're probably not asking that question in the first place. And even if they get the answer, they have really no tools at their disposal to solve the issue. So in answer to your question, what do we do differently? I think we are having fundamentally different conversations than a traditional accountant. So because I have all these tools and resources, and because I want to take a different approach to servicing clients where we, really become part of the reason that they're successful, I'm asking fundamentally different questions. I'm asking questions very much like some of the ones I brought up during this podcast. What keeps you up at night?
How does somebody know that they're in the wrong spot? So like if I am not, like, I find some entrepreneurs are going to be where they're comfortable. And what is your accountant not asking in a situation where you should be considering other options?
Yeah, I think the first clue would be what kinds of conversations are you having? Are you having conversations about your business, about where you're going, about what the planning looks like for the future? If you're, what does next year look like? What's going on with that problem you were having with your stepson? I mean, you really need to have a relationship with client. I mean, we used to say all the time that good planning can't happen in a vacuum. And so if I don't understand that one of your fundamental objectives as a client is that you want to leave $2 million to charity, and that's your number one thing that's driving you, and that's a conversation that needs to be happening. And it's not really fair of the client to think that, well, I guess, that's up to the client. If they don't tell me, then what am I supposed to do? And I start every meeting, to be honest, with like, first and foremost, how are you? How's your business? How are things? You had that, we talked last year about something that was causing you an issue. Maybe had a conversation 3 months ago about something. How's that going? Really? Okay. We talked about getting your will done. Did that work out? Did Jason help you out get that done? Yeah. Okay, good. It's really about trying to understand what is, in what world does that client live, and how do I help them plan a path? That's so far disconnected from, I think, the conversations that are happening between accountants and their clients. I think it's, here's your stuff, here's your tax, next. I just don't believe that you can make, even just limited to tax planning. Even if I just said, look, I'm going to talk to a client only about accounting and tax. How do you come up with a good tax plan, know that it's the right plan for the client, know that it fits their objectives if you haven't even had a conversation about what those objectives are. I just don't, I mean, it's like planning in a vacuum. It's like, well, I'll just make a tax plan, and it worked for my last client, so it'll probably work for these folks. That to me is broken.
So you've covered getting to know the whole client. Now, this is something that we don't normally hear from people about the conversations with their accountant. We don't hear them talk about things like their family. We hear them talk about things like their occupation, not their recreation. And they almost never talk about their dreams. And that's what you were just hitting there, you know, with someone who's aspiring to leave that amount to charity. Maybe that relationship with their stepson is something that is important because their stepson is involved in some of their business. And that would probably change their decision-making pattern.
Well, it's amazing the conversations that you get into when you ask clients what's important to them. They're relatively comfortable in telling you. And then it becomes, what do you do with that information? How do you adapt it to come up with advice that they can use? How do you help them make better decisions? How do you prevent them from running into brick walls that they maybe don't see coming? I mean, these are all things that I would say are in our sphere of things that, are on our board. If we're here to help clients be successful. I always try and take the mindset. If this was my, if it's a older couple, if these were my parents, what advice would I be giving them? Like, what do they need to be doing? And that is not limited to, well, you need to pay your tax and you got this much time to file and sign here and see you later. That's, I've had conversations with very successful people and go, how are you doing? Like, this is a great year. How are you doing? And they go, I'm doing terrible. I'm burnt out. I can't do it anymore. My relationship with my family is suffering. I'm making tons of money by every external metric. I'm super successful, but I hate it. I hate my life. I can't stand it. And, and now I would have this, well, you want to talk about interdisciplinary firm, I would say, well, then let me introduce you to our Involvy, which is our HR arm, and let's recruit somebody that can take a lot of the stuff off what you do so that you don't have to hate your life. And so it comes back to, every time it comes back to just identifying issues, identifying plans, and then solving for those plans and issues.
It makes perfect sense. And congratulations on what sounds like a very successful business model. And to go from no desks and no telephone to 1,500 clients and plenty of desks and plenty of telephones, I'm sure. And that leads me to a question, Quentin, that I have for you. Obviously client focused, obviously client driven, probably the whole firm under your and Shawn's stewardship has that client centered focus. Well, what about the culture inside the building? It must be a very exciting opportunity, and certainly not a lot of textbooks out there written around. We're going to take an insurance firm, a law firm, a digital marketing services company, a tax and accounting firm. There's others in there, of course, and bring them together and create a culture. Is it a fun culture? What's it like to work at HGA Group?
It's awesome. I don't know. I mean, I'm probably biased being one of the leaders here, but I would say there's nothing boring about being here. The number of things that are, if you think about our water cooler talk, it is not the same. I mean, the conversations when you've got, accountants and marketing people carrying on a conversation about a matter that's important to them, it's fundamentally vibrant. It's super awesome to have really creative people around. So, I love having our social media marketing group from Gray Street. I mean, some of the things that they come up with to shake up the office, I always just, it blows my mind, some of the ideas they have and the degree to which they can shape, what it's like to spend a day in the office. But so I would say exciting and dynamic. I mean, and the reason, I always kind of laugh when I think about these types of questions, because it reminds me of a Far Side comic that I've seen. And it's, a bunch of identical penguins in a field, basically, and one's in the middle, looks exactly the same as all the other ones. It says, I just got to be me, right? And so when I think about asking accountants in particular, we've got great, it's great. We're great people. And, I think one of the things that makes being at HGA awesome is the diversity, by definition, diversity of people that are on this floor in this building.
That's great. It's great to hear. And do we have a special guest? We have a surprise guest for Quentin today. Is everybody Joel in that room yet? So I don't know. Maybe someone from your ecosystem might show up down the road a little bit. What else do you do culturally? I understand that there's a group of your folks that has come together voluntarily and formed, I think, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it's called the Heart of HGA. What is the Heart of HGA Group, and what is its mission?
Yeah, so the Heart of HGA was born really because, we're part of our fundamental belief system here at HGA is that, we have an obligation to improve. Really, I would say three things are important to us. One is we want to, and I think first and foremost, we want to improve our clients' lives. And so that's really, we've talked at length today about making the client the focus. And then secondarily, we want to improve the lives of our people, by creating good work environments and focusing on, work-life balance and collaboration and all the things that I think, bring some diversity to their day and, make it interesting work. And the third part is we want to improve our community. So, and what we found was in having conversations about how do we improve our community is, while we had lots of individuals within the firm doing community-minded things, there was really no organization or thought around how do we do things collaboratively to come up with better results. It just stands to reason that if we can come up with, collaborative answers to our clients' issues, we can, by cooperating, come up with some interesting community initiatives. And so the Heart of HGA really is the charitable arm of HGA, where we, as a group, decide what are some initiatives we can band together and, have some success with and move some charitable initiatives forward. And so it's a really interesting division in that, it's got its own leadership, and that changes once in a while. And, they make a lot of decisions that are, it's really theirs to decide. And when I say theirs, I mean, it's a subset of the folks that work here at HGA that have self-selected that they want to participate in that. And they've been awesome at doing some really great community things. So,
and my understanding is
people that work at HGA. Welcome, Taylor Garstad, joining us for the second time. She is is this like a series regular gig now?
Yeah, you can't get rid of me. I've decided that I'm going to be a recurring guest, whether you like it or not. I'm going to pop in on issues. I just can't get rid of me that easy.
I'm going to have to get used to being Taylor number two. Yeah. We actually had another Taylor on. We were featuring this great company, Iron Hub, last week. We're collecting Taylors now. And awesome. We're 2-to-1 gents to ladies so far. So, Taylor, you are the co-founder of Gray Street and also the president of HGA Marketing. Thank you for joining us again. And this is kind of leading in from what we were just talking about. Scott, I think that you were asking what it's like to be part of that HGA culture. Scott, we lost your mic.
So Quentin's been talking to us about what HGA Group is, and what it's all about, and how fun it is to work there. And I thought, you know what, might as well bring in somebody from the group who actually lives and breathes this stuff alongside Quentin. I believe you guys call him Q inside the building, if I'm correct. Something to do with a cigar bar that he might have an interest in.
I don't know if the cigar bar is, I don't know if I'm named after the cigar bar. It might be the other way around.
Fair enough.
Maybe it's destiny.
So tell us, Taylor, what's it like to work at HGA Group? What's it like to put the client first and have all these different services that Quentin has talked to us about? What's it like to be one of those providers and to collaborate with those other service providers?
Well, as Q mentioned, I'm also biased. I'm extremely biased because obviously we, as the marketing hub for the entire group, we're responsible for making sure that culture is 10 out of 10 all the time. And it's not hard when you have visionaries that have built something based on what they don't want to do and what they don't want to see in an organization. As Q mentioned, it's the accounting world is for lack of a better word, just not an environment that we were like they wanted to see. So they've created something and built something where everyone can actually come to work and not, hate their lives, really, right? So when you're a client that comes into our ecosystem, that permeates when you talk to them, and they understand and can kind of get to know you as a human being instead of an actual, a number, or, someone in the call center, or someone that really just doesn't enjoy their day. Like I'm surprised how many accountants enjoy their day, because I'm not a numbers person. I am a through and through marketing person. But we have people on our team that just enjoy working with clients, and our clients actually get to know them across the ecosystem. Whether it's, if Q literally has a discussion with someone over dinner where someone's mentioning that, you know what, man, our marketing it seems like it's doing great, but I don't know. I'm not seeing any KPIs. I'm not seeing any results. And Q goes, you know what? I'm not really sure what's happening, but I know exactly someone that can maybe verbalize this a little bit for you. I don't know if there's going to be value. I'm sure there is. But and the basis of that is that there's already trust built. Q has seen firsthand, actually internally and back, the complete kind of back end of what we're building all the time. And same with Kieran and insurance. Kieran has seen work that we've done for clients in our process to get there, and the trust between leaders is built. So when you make a referral, it's not like here's a list of insurance companies and brokers that we think would be a great fit for you. It's, actually Kieran's next door. Let me just grab him. I'm going to bring him in here. He likely has a lot of insight on this. And if not, he could probably point you in the right direction. So it's not necessarily having all the answers, but it's having the resources to come together collectively and, and to collaborate to get there to the right solution, because the solution is going to be different for everybody.
So you guys all come together. If there's a client that has a multidimensional problem, then all of those disciplines will come together and help solve that multidimensional problem for the client. So the clients don't necessarily have a lawyer, an accountant, an IT firm, an HR company, insurance, all that's at HGA. So they just say, I have everything I need. It's like bundled services almost.
Yeah. Well, they don't say that, it's not like, hey, you know what, come on board. We'll give you our gold star package with all 8 services in one. It's not, you're not going to, TELUS Mobility and, having a package put together for you. It's essentially, when we build a website for somebody, which people don't know that they need to have their information protected or their clients' information protected when they input things into their website. So luckily for us, we have a really talented set of IT professionals that are able to provide that extra layer that the client doesn't necessarily know that they need, but we're able to say, hey, you know what? I got Morgan to take a look of all these forms in the back end of the website. We actually recommend a couple different levels of security to make sure nothing breaches, yada, yada. And the same goes for websites. That's an easy one for us because we build them all the time, but that kind of goes for any level of extra, I guess, advice that any client would need, whether it's from law, insurance, or human resources.
So that client experience is also almost like a salad bar. I need some of this. I want some of this. I want some of that. I need some of this, and I got to have a plate. And so you guys, you just have it all out there for them. And now you just go out there and listen to clients. You just listen. If we heard Quentin right, you just go out there and say, what keeps you up at night, I think was his words. And in listening to where their pain points are, knowing you've got a full toolbox worth of resources, you just make the right introduction. And then the client's on the journey. Then the client, you build that trust with that first and most important experience. Is that what I'm hearing you guys tell us?
It's not what we need. It's what they need, because not every client needs the same thing. Some clients really need advice on how to break through a plateau, in which case we, have, a next level integrated financial division that can actually analyze things that I would never touch. Again, not a numbers person. That's why we have very talented people to do that. But there's also people that maybe it's super industrial. They don't necessarily need a social media marketing plan, but you know what they do need? They need to make sure their website is optimized for keywords that, Quentin's not going to go and optimize someone's keywords, but he knows that I can probably help them do that. And that's what's going to help them bring in customers, bring in clients, and make more revenue and make 2022 be better than 2021 was. So yeah, it's not about us. It's about what they need. And we've just kind of made sure that we have, everyone that works here is very specially selected. Like, they're special people that work here. Like, I work with a lot of really talented leaders across every division, in accounting and insurance, and every division. And it's not, picking up some insurance broker off the street and saying, hey, you know what, we need a guy like you. Can you want to pop in and be our resource? Like, it's special. They're trusted for a reason.
Quentin, walk us through that a little bit. Now, if I heard this correctly, you didn't go out and organically go through the traditional HR model of hiring an insurance person or hiring a law person or hiring an IT or even a marketing person. You actually went out. Am I hearing that right? You actually went and found people that were running businesses or thought about running a business inside HGA. Is that how you built this infrastructure?
Yeah, I would say we did. It was pretty organic the way it actually came together. I would say we identify, because we're entrepreneur and we're trying to build an organization that has a distinct mindset and is unique in the market. There's a lot of things that we needed to try and be successful. So you think about, let's just talk about Gray Street Media, for example. We recognized that we had our own blind spots in terms of web presence and media presence and marketing generally. And so you sort of go, well, how are we going to resolve that? And you look to the market and you go, I don't love all the answers I'm getting, and I'm wondering if I can find a better answer. And if I do find a better answer, maybe our clients will also need it. And then you go for a hunt, and then practically speaking, you stub your toe a few times and you find a few people that don't have an entrepreneurial mindset, that aren't the right fit. And then you run into somebody like Taylor Garstad, and you come back to your office, and Shawn and I think went, that was unreal. And we gotta make sure Taylor's on the team tomorrow. And then Gray Street Media is born. And, we worked together with Taylor to grow it. And now it's become, it's really become what a dynamic organization, and some of the content and creativity that they can foster has just been super proud to have at least been one of the parents of it. And so it's been organic. So yeah, I would say some of the divisions, without getting into specifics, took years to find. So it was, I think thought we started a paralegal firm just to try and help clients get some basic legal stuff sorted out, and, became clear very early on that it would be more powerful if we had a law firm. And it took years. We had conversations. Every time I ran into a lawyer where I was like, yeah, that's somebody I would like to work with, we'd have conversations about, hey, are you crazy enough to share my vision that there's a better way to deliver professional services? And sometimes those conversations went, yeah, no, I don't get it, and I'm good where I am. And then one day you run into somebody like Jason Bannock, and he listens and he goes, yeah, I buy it. I think that the way that we do it now is broken, and I'm with you. Let's go build a law firm from scratch. And if we build it, they will come. And so I guess the long answer to your question is, it was 100% about finding people with the right mindset that is aligned with us. The last thing that we could do is bolt on, sort of a bureaucratic, I just work in a big organization and I just do this thing. And, clients are there because I know they have to be there, but they're not at the center of it. That's never going to work in our ecosystem. And so, yeah.
So you wouldn't, and if I'm hearing you right, the philosophy of HGA Group is, if we wouldn't do business with this person or these people ourselves, if we wouldn't give our legal or our accounting or our marketing to these people, then we're not going to refer them. And if we are going to give them our business, let's start by giving it to them. And if they're good enough, then we'll bring it out to our ecosystem. So you guys are really building the engine by not only putting the parts together, but it's your car. So you're bringing people into your same engine that you use to grow the HGA infrastructure as a brand. Those same tools are offered to all your clients. There's no internal. It's ours. It's yours. It's all of ours. Is that right?
So I would say if you looked at any one of our divisions, each of which is a fully operating business in its own right, and they would use all the other divisions for the service they need. And I think that's consistent throughout the ecosystem. So yes. So does HGA Insurance use Gray Street Media? You bet. And you can connect all those dots. Does Involvi use, HGA Insurance? Yes. It's yes across the ecosystem. So for sure, it would be disingenuous of us, I think, not to, if we believe we have the secret sauce, then it would be silly of us not to deploy it in the businesses that we own and operate.
You must, Taylor Garstad, you must spend a lot of time thinking about scaling your business. It sounds like you guys are in growth mode across pretty much all of these different independent operating systems that work connectively with tissue. You must be thinking a lot about scale these days, I'm thinking. Have you grown recently, and how is business at Gray Street?
Well, I'd like to say, if I would have thought at that day when I talked to Q and Shawn that I would be thinking about the size of my business right now, that would have never been a thought that ever popped into my head. Like we're hiring our 5th and 6th employee. We just, 2 offers got accepted this week because we're simply, in world domination mode. Quite frankly, we all really enjoy doing what we do, and obviously our clients that we have can see that, and they enjoy, like, you know what, wow, this is really fun. This is, we've built amazing websites that that we've kind of just decided to put together based on what we believe this brand should be shown as to the world. And, the client looks at it later and goes, you know what, that was a super fun process. Let's do that again with our social media or our, graphic design. So yeah, like we are in total growth mode right now. We're actually, branching more into like branding and strategic branding analysis and websites. And, we're our first like full-time designer is coming on board, which, all of us consider ourselves designers, but we also do everything else because we're a jack of all trades. That's what we've always been in this office. So yeah, it's to say we're in scalability mode is probably taking it lightly. I think, I've communicated to the guys a couple times the word fear, and it's a good fear. It's not, it's not a bad fear, but it's like, hey, but when you have an engine around you of people going, rah, rah, it's kind of hard to just, it's hard not to believe that, things are going to continue to grow. And we've seen it across our divisions. They're just, it is a secret sauce. It feels like we have something special here, and then people are starting to figure it out, and we're like, gosh, dang, like people are starting to figure out what we got, and it's like a rocket ship. So.
Well, I'm a fan. I got to say that we just got some new branding for Leadership Line of Sight that came directly from Gray Street. And the way that they were able to take our vision and execute it, we were excited to update all of our covers just early this week with great work from you guys.
I was so happy to see it. I think I used some not kind words to, when I was talking to Taylor at first. I was like, hey, can I help you with this? How does this sound?
Hey, Quentin, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
What is it? Obviously business is faced with challenges. COVID, pandemic. My understanding is there's going to be quite a few truckers on a convoy this weekend, I believe it is, or Friday or whatever it might be. So you've got business challenges in Edmonton. No question. The world has business challenges. But that's magnified by every one of your clients. Every one of your clients has challenges. So it's not just the challenges at HGA. It's all of our clients' challenges in their business environments as well. How are you leading your troops in these times of challenge? What is it that you're doing to help reassure them? A lot of businesses are struggling, and I'm hearing that HGA Group is scaling. So congratulations on that. I'm assuming most of your clients would not all be on that scale, ladder. How are you keeping your clients and your enterprise focus on the opportunities versus the risks?
Yeah, it's a complex question. I would say with respect to leadership, my style that seems to have worked for me is I lead with authenticity, which is to say that, I don't sugarcoat much. I sort of go, here's where we are, and here's the things that are ahead, and the the right answer, at least internally, if we're talking about leading this group, is to keep the clients at the middle of what we're doing. Stay client focused. They're going to have some challenges. We tried to support our clients, by even having that conversation with clients, going, hey, we know back in March 2020 that some clients are struggling, and that one of the things that I don't want you to be worried about is your professional fees. And so we opened the door to make some payment plans with people, and just sort of leading with the idea that I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There's nothing useful about saying it's all going to be fine. We talked about uncertainty back in March 2020, and we had a team meeting back then. Now maybe Taylor can recall just saying, I don't know where this is all going to land. There's so much unknown. The one thing I know is we're a cohesive team, and together we'll get through it. And the messaging to clients is, there's the flip side of that, which is we're here for you. We know you're going to encounter some obligations. We'll do everything we can to work with you to try and navigate through it. If you're having trouble, you're struggling, please reach out to us, and we'll sort of navigate these waters together. And we had clients that did. I had lots of conversations back in that time where people are going, am I going to lose my house here? Like, what's going on? I can't pay my rent. I need some help. And we leaned in on those. And to be frank, in some cases we leaned in a way that there was no fees. Like, we didn't bill anybody for stuff that happened back then. It was just like, if you truly live that we're here to help our clients, then obviously we need to be paid by clients here and there to make the whole business, whole model work. Hard to keep the lights turned on if nobody pays you. But this organization, and I believe that's true throughout our ecosystem, has never been about making money. Like, the central focus of HGA has never been, let's go make a whole bunch of money in professional services. It's been, I told you where we started, let's help our clients be successful, and in doing so have good lives. Well, when you start with that, you can actually navigate a lot, because I'm not reporting to the shareholders about what our first quarter profit was back in March 2020, and we were well poised to go, hey, we're going to have, if we do this and lean into people and accept, that they're not going to pay us for a while. In some cases, maybe they're just not capable of paying, but we still need to help these people. You're going to have a crappy quarter. And we did have along with everybody else that back in that time frame, but we're in the long-term relationship game. And I tell you, you never get the kind of loyalty you get from staff or clients when you help them when we have no economic interest in doing so in the moment. So, so that's a long answer to your question, but I think, being transparent and authentic and just talking from the heart and meaning it and caring about people, and, clients know it. When you can feel it. I believe that. I think when you can tell that your advisors care about you and your outcomes, it's just a fundamentally different relationship. And, and I'm not saying that doesn't exist elsewhere in the accounting world and in the HR world and the IT world. I mean, I'm sure it does, but I can tell you it definitely exists here at HGA. Like, it's the fundamental belief system. We talk about it all the time. Clients, what do they need? And the beauty of that is, if you do that all the time, clients love us. They become raving fans, and they send us more clients. And that's the ultimate pat on the back, is somebody that goes, these guys are great. They helped me. They can help you too. That's such an easy intro to growth. It's, rather than us trying to tell this complicated story about coming in going, I got referred by Chuck, and Chuck is in, I think he uses every one of your services. Help me too, like you help Chuck. Man, I live for that stuff. I love it. And so I don't know if that answered your question.
You
Scott.
betcha. And it also is highlighting a direct contrast to what we're seeing lately. We always bring some stories in. Scott's got some clippings that he's got his radar everywhere, and we're seeing things like Amazon is forcing warehouse workers into wellness huddles as an avoidant method. Like, what do you see with this, Scott?
Well, I think this is the complete antithesis to what we just heard at HGA Group. It sounds like HGA Group listens to its clients, and it listens to its stakeholders, those in the building, and what works for them and what they need. And it puts the client's needs or the employee's needs ahead of the corporate needs. And I think that's the antithesis of what Amazon is doing. It's not asking the warehouse workers what they need. It's not asking the warehouse workers how they can help them help themselves. It's telling them to go stand by a video conference station for 20 minutes a day or what have you and do stretching and breathing exercises. Well, what's that doing for morale at Amazon warehouses right now? And sorry, Mr. Bezos, no offense. I know you folks well up there in Seattle, but that's not the right way to go about wellness. Wellness comes from the heart, not the profit and loss statement.
So this is coming from like, you ever see those videos about companies in Japan where everybody does exercise when they get to work together? Is like that what this is?
It's worse. It's to talk about, your stress level and your breathing and how you should stretch and how you should give yourself less than 5 minutes a day of alone time. It's not an example of being there for the people and with the people. It's an example of treating people like their servants. It's more of dictatorship than it is cohesive, collaborative strategy on wellness.
Wow. What's your take on that? We call this section reacting, and we want to know, when you see things like that, what do you see?
What do you see, Taylor?
Wellness is such a it's very important, but it's such a buzzword right now, honestly, and everyone's version of what they need to be happy and content and feel well is different at work. But not every answer is good for everyone. So like one of our examples here is that, it's been really tough with the pandemic to our like core business when we're all about our people and gathering and having Friday beers or, having our tax party or having, lunch together was a core part of our business. And when we figured out, one of the main, feedback that we got was, we're so sick of this online. We're so zoomed out. We don't want to have Zoom beers. We want to hang out in the lunchroom and crack a bottle of wine. And, that's wellness for them. That's wellness for a lot of people. And for other people, it's not. You need to, like, if listening is just everything. Like if you don't listen, you don't, like, if you're assuming and you're assuming that everyone needs the same thing, what's yoga at lunch for someone is going to be, a beer after work for somebody else, or what's alone time for one person is going to be a gathering to go out for dinner with the partners another night. So you're not going to know that unless you know your people. And there's growing pains. Like there's huge growing pains. Imagine when I started with this organization, I was the 18th person. There's almost 90 of us now. So imagine having all these people come in and you have to relearn how to listen to all of them. We still haven't figured it out yet. We're still learning. Like we still have times where we're like, you know what? We didn't super hit that on the mark, but we're going to change this and try better next time. So there's not one answer, but as long as you listen to your people and are collaborating and are just a human being and not a robot and are a dictator, in your words, I think you're winning.
Well, you just gave Amazon their answer. You just gave them their answer. Let's not have a big, huge corporation on top of an ivory tower decide how we're going to translate wellness all the way down to our distribution shop floors. Don't do that. Let's let our distribution shop floor managers tell us what they need and give them a budget to be successful at that level. If we can't hear you all the way up here, but there are eyes and ears here. So let's decentralize that. Let's give them a budget, stress the importance, and have those individual shop floor managers decide what their people need with their people, and then go ahead and do that. You just gave Amazon their answer. Well done, Taylor. Thanks.
Sorry, Amazon. I'm not looking for work. I know I'm a hot commodity, but sorry.
This can go so many different ways as well. Like in my company, we surveyed everybody for the holidays that matter more to them. And we thought about important events that are already on our calendar, but also important events that are on their calendar, including things like their children's birthday. And what we found was, because we're in a real estate business and so many people are active on weekends and often on holidays, that they actually had holidays that they would sooner pass by to focus on some of these other events. And then we let them choose.
And Quentin, how do you think about that? The two very different approaches, right, between what Gravidia and Taylor's businesses are doing and the way Amazon is doing it. How would you weigh in if wellness, and I'm sure it's on your plate, and I'm sure mental health and making sure everyone feels good, and these are trying times on folks emotionally. You've seen two kind of dichotomies of answers there. What would you propose at HGA would be a right way to go about, say, listening to your people about the mental health and wellness? How would you go about that?
Well, I think about it as there's so much value in the intimate conversation about, mindset. And so in my space, I try and lean into people that, I'm interacting with on the leadership teams. And, we're talking about workload, and we're talking about mindset, and talking about management of expectations being, more important than almost anything else. And that's the ultimate elixir to managing, burnout is, there's almost no point at which, we're not in the brain surgery business. Nobody dies on the table here based on whether something's done at 4 o'clock today or 4 o'clock tomorrow. And it's more about having conversations with clients and other internal stakeholders about, hey, I've got this thing. I know it's important to you. How critical is it that it's done by Tuesday? Would Friday be fine? And that often is the safety valve you need. So finding practical strategies, helping coach people on how to manage that. There's frankly nothing I like less than seeing people here late at night when it does happen. I often pop in and go home, please. I appreciate that you care, and I'm sure our clients appreciate that you care, but I care, and you need to go home. And then we need to chat about how we rethink this, or we staff up, or we, reduce workload, or we manage expectations such that you're not here. Everybody here, I think, in this building, we care about the clients, and clients have lots going on. That means we got lots going on. Does that mean that I want everybody working like an accountant? Life's too short. Life's too short to work like an accountant. And I don't know, those of you who have never worked in an accounting firm where your hours are the inventory, and the amount of inventory we have is a direct correlation to how many hours you work. You can think about, if you have the wrong mindset in the leadership of that organization, that it's not conducive to an excellent quality of life or any balance whatsoever. So, we try and keep an eye on that. We've tried to stay overstaffed, for years to try and manage that. And let me tell you, the problem with being overstaffed is when you grow by double digits, it's hard to stay overstaffed. It's hard to add enough good quality people to ever get to the point where we have excess. But, we're, quite frankly, we've been, in the recruiting game now for a full-time basis, basically, just to feel growth, not to feel turnover, but just to feel growth, for years. So, I think wellness comes from, the first answer is, it's hard to have any wellness when you work 90 hours a week, or, even 60 or 50 hours a week. It's pretty tough to keep that balance. I mean, everybody can do it short term, but long term, it's not conducive. We've got to, that's a fundamentally different mindset, I think, in our accounting firm than others. So that's the starting point. And then the rest is just conversations. We've got, if you think about, I've sort of got, I would say 9 or 10 other leaders in our organization that I help them lead, or I lead them, I guess, depending on which perspective. And, the type of conversations you're having with those people fuel how they feel about what they're doing.
Yeah, we've also got, you were talking about a new book coming out, Unstoppable Teams, and it seems like one of the core elements that you're discussing, Quentin, is communication. Like, being in tune with everybody's needs is a big key there. Now, what do you think about Unstoppable Teams there, Scott?
Yeah, good book, especially the intro. This is about putting the heart with the head. Alden has done a great job. He's a SEAL team leader, platoon leader, multiple tours. And he took what he learned in the SEAL teams and put it in this book. And so you'd think you'd be hearing a lot about chain of command. And you think you'd be hearing a lot about, you will follow orders. None of those things exist in this book. He talks about building unstoppable teams by finding out and getting to know your people that are on your team. And his number one priority, and he stresses this in the book, is that you really authentically care about your people. You care about who they are. You care about what's important to them. And if you care about them and they see that true care, then they're going to care about what your objective is. And they're going to want to follow you into that objective because they know that you would never lead them somewhere. Now, obviously, we're going into harm's way here, but we're going together. And we're going to care about each other because you know I care about you. And that's what creates an unstoppable team in his book. And I also think has a lot of credence to that's exactly the way it should be. I think leaders need to think more about caring these days. And listening to Quentin talk, everything he says is about caring for the client, caring for your people. When is an accounting firm owner or director walked out of his office at night and said, "Go home"? Never. But it sounds to me like that HGA has that sort of leadership quality. And Taylor has mentioned it as well about caring, that you really have to care. And that's what I found when I read Unstoppable Teams. How does that resonate with you, Taylor, thinking about caring about your people? Would you say that you care about your people at Gray Street and throughout the ecosystem at HGA?
I think that if we didn't actually have people helping me and plan my, building a business with me, that I would care too much. We have a lot of fun here. And I think for a lot of people, it's really unnatural to lead into a business people first versus bottom line first, financial first. But, if I'm any marker for that, it is one follows the other. So when you develop an environment where, when we were building this, I understood, not everyone's going to be my friend. I'm not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but I'll tell you that every person I've brought onto my team, I care about like my family. Like they're, not just in my bubble here in my marketing bubble, but, across the organization. I think for a lot of people, that level of care when it comes to business success is unnatural, and that's okay. But it's all like, if you're doing it right and you actually do care and it's not fabricated, it's not fake, one will follow the other, and success comes naturally when you actually listen and care about the people that are on your team and your clients.
Cool. Mike.
And that's got to be music to your ears, hearing one of your business segment leaders talk about care. You had talked about authenticity and being authentic earlier in the show here today, and to hear her talk about caring and to hear about your level of care. How important do you think teaching your leaders and those around you to care is, and how do you lead by that example?
I think it's at the core of what we built this firm around. And so if like I said earlier, that, making money is not even on the top 5 objectives. I mean, I think we're all business leaders, and we understand that businesses need to make money to grow and thrive. And it's never been the point. We didn't open this firm and we didn't start doing what the things we're doing to make more money than we would if we were doing, some other activity. We went, let's build better lives for our clients, and let's build better lives for our people, and let's build better communities to operate in. And if you make those your fundamental mindset at every junction, nobody has to walk around and go, I think, Taylor, you need to care more about your people. Give them some care. It's just part of the ecosystem. And so, it's part of the culture. Do we always get it right? Do we ever not misstep? Of course, we're human. We're trying to boldly go, I think, where no organization has ever gone before that I can find, which is, these are fundamentally different thinking people in different business lines, and you put them all in a room and you're not going to get consensus every time, or even most of the time. But it's about, trusting that we've got each other's backs, and that, whether or not HR is successful is important to the people in IT. It's a thing. It's not, we're all looking out for each other. And, the more that you collaborate, the more that becomes true. And so, coming back to what conversations do you need to have? I think it's just part of the ecosystem. It's just part of our DNA. Like, it's part of what makes this place tick. And, and I think we're very good at identifying when we've got circumstances that don't feel like it's right, and don't feel like, this is not the HGA way, and we try and address those as they come. But I think we do a pretty good job at it, but I don't think it's. Yeah, I don't think I don't wake up every day going, how am I going to show my people that I care? I just behave in a way that it's easy to do when you actually do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Authenticity. There it is right there. You truly care. You find people to surround yourself with that truly care, and it becomes just part of who the corporate organization is. It's a care.
Well, and you know what? I'll tell you where it starts. It starts obviously with mindset at the top, but we also hire at every level, and every hiring decision I've ever been made here, as we add people to the team, is let's find people that care. Care is the one thing I can deal with. I can deal with lack of aptitude. I can deal with a lot of different things. The one thing that I cannot fix, you cannot coach, and you cannot create is hiring people that have a care level. And you find it, and you ask questions about it, and so that's the one thing that I think unites everybody on this team is, their care level is high.
Am I hearing you right? I want to make sure that we heard that right, that you put people's character ahead of their proficiencies in some of the selection process of the folks that you asked to join you in HGA Group.
Yeah, I would take somebody with a 10 care level and a 7 technical skill level way ahead of somebody with a 10 skill level and a 7 care level, because I can coach technical. You can learn how to do your job better. You can learn something you didn't know before. And, the funny thing is people who care a lot will take the time to do it. You cannot, there's no room in our organization for people that are really good technicians and just, I'm just here because, it was a conveniently located job. We're in the West End of Edmonton, and I don't know, it was 50 cents more than the guy down the street. That doesn't cut it here. I just don't think it flies. I think you would get weeded out by the other teammates. They're going, hang on a second, how you have this client email that came in, and and I understand you didn't respond, and but this doesn't fly here. I think you'd get called out for it. You'd stick out like a sore thumb. So yeah, hiring for character, 100%. Obviously, you can't hire people that be accountants that don't know anything about accounting. But I think care is number one. And I would tell you the people that have thrived and advanced in HGA have one thing in common. They're they will go to the end of the earth for clients and their coworkers.
That's awesome. Now take us into 2022 as we wrap up here. Further into this year, what do you see and what do you think that leaders should have in their line of sight?
Yeah, I think you need to talk about the future. I think you need to talk about what it is to be in the organization, and then where do we want to go as a group? Because I would tell you very much my perspective is this place is what we build. This is obviously I've got a vision for where we want to go, and that's changed over the years. And it's not just changed because I woke up in the morning and said, I've got a better idea. Let's go do this. It's we're building something and we're building it together. So we have a bunch of architects in this place. I want to hear what people have to say. I want to know what Taylor thinks about initiatives. I want to know if we're going to add another division because clients are telling us they need it. What should that look like? And if we're going to hire some, or bring on some more people in our divisions, what should those people be? That's not me. That's me talking to people in our divisions that are entrepreneurial mindset that, that are, I think really helping guide where we're going. So if I'm thinking about advising somebody on how to be a leader, you need to be having conversations with your people about where they want to go. Where do they want to go? Where do they think the business should go? What ideas do they have? And I tell you from experience, when you do that, you will get better ideas than you can ever dream up sitting on your patio, with a glass of wine. You will get better answers. And so we've done things like, we're doing another round of fireside chats with our people to sort of go, tell us what you think about being here, and tell us what you think, what can we be doing better for clients, and asking questions that, I don't think most organizations spend enough time asking those questions. how could we improve the client experience here at HGA? You ask that of people that are in the trenches, you will get a fundamentally different answer than you will get in a leadership meeting. And so how do you ask those questions and listen and then react on them is the answer to me in 2022. People want to be involved. People want to bring their brain to work and use it and not necessarily be told what to do. I'm a big fan of build a position for you. That's been the conversation with lots of the senior people that have waiters. I have an idea what this looks like. What does it look like from your perspective? And how do we morph that? We have roles here that didn't exist because we had the people for the role, not necessarily I've got a seat here and let's find somebody that fits that definition. So that'd be my view in 2022 is I'm helping build something and I'm happy to lead it, but this place will be what we decide it is, and that's not what I decide it is. That's what we decide it is. Fundamentally different mindset than, that dictatorial style leadership.
Oh, I sure hope those leaders, those small business owners out there are listening to this, because that's the key. You don't, as a leader in 2022, you do not have to have the answers. You just have to bring your people together and ask the right questions. Well said, sir.
And Taylor 1. Any comments on what you see in 2022?
Well, I mean, the world's a really weird place. The classic term that I hear one more time, the Great Resignation is happening. And I don't mean to downplay it because it's certainly real. People don't want to sacrifice for their lives. They don't want to sacrifice a job and a career to be miserable to pay the bills. The world's a really expensive place, but ultimately happiness comes first, and being content in your lives and having balance comes first. And I think that one of the, one super competitive advantage that I would say that if you have this, which we do, if you can come to a place and work and enjoy your life and people know you and you feel like people know your family, which is, they know my dog's name, they know my husband's name, and I know their husband's name. And, and you don't have to feel like you're drowning all the time, and you can actually enjoy your life because, when you come here, it doesn't absorb you. I think that's a really important, like 2022 and beyond, it's going to really show that, if you can provide that environment for your recruiting strategy, which everyone's recruiting right now, it's like, you got to be able to provide. You got to be able to provide that environment for people to grow. And so sometimes you have to really look in the mirror. Are you providing an environment for your team to thrive and enjoy their time here? And if they're not, and if you're finding you have a lot of turnover, what does that mean? Like, look at it. Don't just say, oh, well, they weren't a fit. Actually, the world is changing. So you got to look at that. And, I've learned a lot working with our HR team over the last little while, and they're, extremely knowledgeable and with the level of care and the level of recruiting they've been doing for their clients, it's not going away anytime soon.
That's awesome. And that is Taylor Garstad, president of HGA Marketing, also co-founder of Gray Street. We also have Quentin Gardiner here, and he is one of the founding partners of HGA Group. And we really appreciate you guys joining us today for Leadership Line of Sight. As always, with me is Scott Connors. Scott is the Chief Change Officer at Crankset Group, helping CEOs make great decisions that change the outcome in their businesses. And my name is Taylor. I'm a serial entrepreneur and the marketing strategist at Gravidia. I hope that everybody has a remarkable day, and we'll see you next time.